When I first moved to Seattle, I wasn't looking for anything dramatic. I just wanted a new start after college. I found a modest two-bedroom apartment close to my new marketing job, and after some back-and-forth searching on housing websites, I ended up with a roommate, Ethan Parker. He was a friend of a friend who worked in software development, and although we'd only met twice before moving in together, I figured it would be manageable. Ethan was tall, quiet, and had a habit of working late into the night. I was more outgoing, a planner, someone who liked structure and routine. At first, we lived side by side like two ships sharing the same harbor, polite, respectful, and never crossing into each other's business. That changed one morning in the most unexpected way. It was a rainy Tuesday, and I woke up later than usual. My alarm hadn't gone off, and I only had 40 minutes to get ready before my first big presentation at work. I jumped into the shower, steam filling the small bathroom, my mind racing through slides and talking points. I didn't even hear the apartment door open. The next thing I knew, the bathroom door cracked open just as I was rinsing my hair. Ethan's voice came through, calm but startled. "Oh shoot, sorry. I didn't know you were in here." I froze, half annoyed, half embarrassed. "Ethan, ever heard of knocking?" Sorry, he muttered quickly, the door closing again. When I got out, towel wrapped tightly around me, I found him pacing in the living room, red-faced. He stammered through an explanation that he'd been rushing for a meeting, didn't hear the shower running, and had accidentally barged in. I wanted to stay mad, but honestly, the whole thing felt like a comedy sketch. My frustration melted into laughter. "Well, now we've officially lost all sense of roommate privacy." He chuckled nervously, scratching the back of his neck. "Guess so. I'll, make breakfast as an apology." That was the moment something shifted between us. Breakfast became our first real conversation beyond the usual. "How was your day?" He made scrambled eggs that were a little too salty, but we ate them at the kitchen table like old friends. He asked about my presentation, and I asked about his project deadlines. For the first time since moving in, I noticed how easy he was to talk to when he wasn't buried in his laptop. That one small accident, him walking into the bathroom, turned into the first crack in the wall we'd both built between ourselves. Over the next few weeks, things changed. He'd knock on my door before heading out for a late run and ask if I wanted to join. I'd bring him leftovers from the office when I knew he'd forgotten to eat. We started watching shows together after dinner, arguing over whether New York or Chicago had the best pizza. The funny part? We became more careful about respecting each other's space after that bathroom incident. But emotionally, we were crossing boundaries we hadn't before. One night, about a month later, Seattle was hit with a power outage. The apartment went dark, rain hammering against the windows. I was curled up on the couch with a blanket when Ethan came out of his room with a flashlight. "Guess it's just us in the storm," he said. We ended up sitting in the living room, phones nearly dead, laughing as we told embarrassing stories about our past. I admitted I once got locked in a library overnight during finals week. He confessed he'd accidentally called his boss mom in a meeting. The more we talked, the warmer the room felt, even without electricity. At some point, silence fell between us. Not awkward, but comfortable. For the first time, I realized how much I trusted him. This guy who had once been just a stranger sharing rent was becoming something else. The true turning point came a few weeks later. I had a really bad day at work. My presentation fell flat, my manager was critical, and the weight of everything hit me on the bus ride home. By the time I walked into the apartment, tears were threatening. Ethan noticed immediately. "Hey, you okay?" That simple question was all it took. I broke down crying on the couch, and he sat beside me without hesitation. He didn't try to give advice, didn't make jokes, he just listened. Then quietly he said, "You're stronger than you think, and I've seen how hard you work. One bad day doesn't change that." Hearing those words from him meant more than I expected. In that moment, I realized how much he had become a part of my life. As the months rolled by, our friendship deepened. We started cooking together on Sundays, grocery shopping side by side, even teaming up for trivia nights at a nearby bar. People often assumed we were dating, but we'd laugh it off. Neither of us rushed to label what we had, because it felt like something worth protecting. And it all traced back to that one morning, the shower incident that could have been just an awkward memory. Instead, it became the start of everything. Ugh. By the end of that first year, our apartment felt less like a shared space and more like a home. Ethan wasn't just my roommate anymore. He was my closest friend, my confidant, the person I leaned on when life felt overwhelming. One evening, as we watched the sun dip below the Seattle skyline, Ethan said quietly, "You know, moving in here was the best decision I ever made." I smiled, realizing I felt exactly the same. That's when it hit me. Sometimes the most unexpected moments, like someone accidentally walking in at the wrong time, can lead to the most meaningful connections. Ugh. Sparkles, and that's how a simple mistake in a small Seattle apartment changed everything for me.